Illman,
Oh, yeah.
I-L-L-M-A.
I knew John, yeah.
Do you have any of his pictures?
No, I don't.
Boy, we're looking high and low for those. We know he's taken a lot of them, but we can't seem to find them. Anyway, these two are by Mr. Illman, and this is in the Milwaukee area, as you can see, the Milwaukee up there, and of course, the marine traffic in the background doesn't look like that in that part of Seattle anymore. Okay.
See,
Yeah.
I paid for that sign to be made over the office there.
Is that right?
This
Yeah.
one here, Pier
Yeah.
27.
Yeah.
Yeah, now, and that was her office, Frank, for many years, wasn't it? These are file areas.
Yeah, that's Pier 27.
Yeah.
Couple of Tim Rat pictures, we can see, one of the infamous passenger cars in the background, and we can see some of the
Oh,
other.
I never saw a truck painted like that.
You see your barge down there. Now, Frank, wouldn't this be stuff for Canada?
I don't know whose trucks those are.
You don't know who stuff.
Well,
that
they're
is.
old Mickey's, built during the war.
Here's the one,
Oh,
look at
that's-
this thing.
It-
Out of
it-
their element. This is a picture out of the Seattle Times of December 1st, 1950, where
That's what it looks like when the train crew comes down before the barge is under the slip.
we're going to look at that in a second. Frank, you had this drawing, you gave it to us, right? And it turns out
Yeah.
that this was drawn by Alan Miller, who's going to be one of our guests on the program. This is the original artwork, and of course, maybe it's land the barge first and then lower the slip.
Well, you should have seen me trying to put the handbrakes on them cars before they went in the drink.
Because they did all this before you got there, didn't they?
God.
Yeah, that was quite a deal. Get another shot of the barge coming along.
Western Sea. Who
Who
the hell is that?
Still having a problem getting this on a different one to advance these images, but.
Oh, 55. Jeez.
Struggling, guys. Here we go. Let's see if I try this.
You never did use the 101, did you?
I'm sorry?
You never used that unit, did you?
I never, no, it must have been,
In the
I mean,
55.
the 55, of course, we use
Yeah.
all the time.
Isn't that a song?
SW 1200.
I can't drive the 55. And there's a picture of it in the evening.
So there's, that flat car idler there was a group of flat cars that we were going to get from the UP, and I poured about an 8-foot slab of concrete on one end, so that, and we put container on the flat car, and then the forklift could drive right off of the loading dock onto that slab and turn and take the pulp into the boxcar, so, or the container. So the whole thing was that when they came back from Port Townsend, and we had these containers on those flat cars, and we were going to just take the barge and put it right next to the ship and take the containers right off of the rail car and put them on the ship. Well, the unions went apeshit.
They didn't like that.
They did not like that. That ended that whole project right there because they wanted those containers, that rail car, to go over to the Seattle yard, taken off and put it on a truck and brought back over to the pier. Oh, that was a big deal. I had to break all the concrete off of those, well, half a dozen cars that I made.
Frank?
Frank,
Yes.
Is the transfer bridge on Pier 27 identical to the old one in Port Townsend?
Transport,
Transfer bridge.
transfer bridge, that's the old one.
Bridge,
That was there all my time.
Okay, was it the same as the one in Port Townsend?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the old, the same as the old one. at
The
Fort
old
Townsend.
one, right.
And I rebuilt that one at Pier 27. Well, I had Bob Shanklin down there numerous times. We used to have bring those barges, secure those barges by hand. We had a big, about a 6-foot diameter, like a ship's wheel. You put your foot down on it, and it had a locking mechanism on it, and we'd secure it like that. Well, then we had a couple of close calls, and then Bob came with we had a 3 or 4 car work train parked on that side, on the siding, on the other side of that lumber rack.
Yeah.
And we put in electric over hydraulic winches to pull the barges in. That was a big improvement.
So Frank, I noticed that you guys did some track work here, it looks like, on one of these yard tracks versus this yard track that looks a little more wobbly. So you guys were working in the yard in Seattle, right?
Well, those poles down in between the tracks, that's not the Seattle waterfront.
That's Seattle. All 3 of those pictures are downtown. That's right on Alaskan Way.
I can't remember power poles being in the yard.
Yeah, I actually kind of scrunched this picture down at the full size.
They were all along the
Yeah,
street.
right there. Now what's going on here? Thanks for these, Steve, by the way.
That's very dangerous for that guy standing.
So, you mean over here?
Yeah, it's very dangerous being on the lip of the barge there, because that's going to go underneath the apron right there. You see that rail sticking out there right towards his leg there?
Yeah.
So the apron has to be raised just a little bit in order to get it lined up.
What are these guys doing?
That's one of Foss's barges.
That's a floss barge, so this
That's all
is.
steel.
What's
Yeah,
that?
that's a phosphor there too.
This is a floss barge? Because that's at, isn't this at Port Townsend?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not a Milwaukee barge. That's not.
Oh,
Port
because Milwaukee barges are on big timbers, the
Yeah.
rail.
The rails were up on big timbers. Yeah, those are Foss barges, or could be a Canadian barge.
Okay, but this is Port Townsend for sure, so do we take a floss
Oh,
barge?
okay, that's when I was running, I tried to put together a little railroad operation just for the Port Townsend mill.
For the mill?
And I tried to bring the
Napton.
the barge Glacier Bay in there.
Yeah. That's when you were working for Napton.
Right. Yeah, that's when I worked for,
Or bricks? Later bricks?
how the hell was that? And I put the engine on there so because we had no engine up here. So I put the engine on from Seattle. That's engine 55, I think, or 51. So you can see how the tracks line up there. You can see how there's a little bit of a crook in it.
Right.
So when I went back up to get another load, one of the fellows at Napton that was kind of PO'd because I was doing this thing on the side, somehow he switched me from the barge Glacier Bay to the barge Seattle. And the barge Seattle would not fit against the shear wall and the apron. I couldn't make it work. I had to send the barge back empty. And that was the end. That was the end of that effort.
Yeah.
There we go.
Here's a whole sequence of images that were taken by Tim Repp. And
They took the crummy out there.
they took the crummy out there and they got a couple of idlers, and there's a sequence here. And my understanding, I went back to the photographer and talked to him specifically, are these images in the correct order? And he told me that they are. So they've got 2 barges this day,
Yeah, 20 and 21.
20 and 21. And they're out there, and then, okay, so, talk about it. Okay, so in this picture, we have the two barges here. So there, what's going on here? This one's done and this one they're working on, or what are
Well,
they?
the other
what are
one's
they doing?
empty, the empty one is,
This is inbound stuff because it's empties, right?
that's, it's kind of strange because usually when you unloaded a barge, then you shoved the westbound cars from Port Angeles or from up here onto that barge. You just unloaded and slid the barge back and then cut this one in. So I don't know what the barge in the back is doing.
Now, it looks like both barges are in the picture here. This is one, and then this is the other one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the one aft, the one in the back could be empty, or it already it could already have loads on it.
We already have loads on.
But we got that dumb caboose there, so I don't know what the hell that's.
We'll see here as we get through that sequence, what happens next.
So you're shifting barges is what you're doing.
Okay, now it looks like to me that they're pulling stuff off the barge.
Okay, they're pulling that.
They're unloading that.
Okay, and they've got those two idlers, and then they also used this old
And
steam tender.
You got a sulfur car there.
And this is all cross ties for you. It's more track material, company material. And then here they are, and then here's the road power, and so they're, I guess that the switch engine is going to take the idlers and get out of the way, and then they're going to tack onto this thing and take off. Yeah, there they've gotten out of the way, and now the road power is backing on to that cut of cars that's still out on the slip. I just got this picture yesterday. That's a pretty good shot.
That's before they got painted.
Before they got painted, yeah, we got a number of shots before they got painted.
So that picture there, one time we had really, really bad weather, and it was really, really blowing, and we were worried about damaging the trestle. So Bob and I, we shoved rail cars out on the trestle to help hold it down. Well, then we discovered that the waves were smashing into the rail cars. Waves were going up. So we had to go on and open the doors on the rail cars so the water could go through them.
Now, Frank, when we were talking about when we got all that cement out of downtown Seattle, is that this pile of cement right here?
That's what?
Remember you got a pile of cement from downtown Seattle where they...
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You were breaking up something, or they're breaking up a street or something and you got it all? Is this that pile of gravel?
Yeah, that's stuff I got from the demolition job on I-90 there at Spokane Street and the Seattle waterfront.
And Barbary.
Who's this? Does anybody know who this is?
Ray Barbary.
Ray Barbary.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's important. I gotta write that one down. Okay. Because we see Ray show up elsewhere. And then that's now this is your crushed pile of cement then, Frank, right? Isn't that it?
Oh, that could have been Dana Davis gravel there.
Well, that could be Dana Davis gravel. A lot better quality gravel than, isn't it? Couple of places.
Oh, take a look at the tracks.
Well, I know, it's a little lumpy. Yeah, right there in the middle. This is
Jeez.
driving into town with an eastbound train. And another picture in that sequence, yeah, look at that track. Where is this? I've been told that this is where the railroad goes underneath Highway 20. Is that where this
That's
is?
right. Yeah, probably.
Okay, I tell you, I've stared at the map, and I cannot figure out quite where that is on the map anymore. You'll need to help me with that. But I wanted to make sure, because I checked with a couple of people, and they said, oh, yeah, it's Highway 20. Now, what's interesting, of course, is
The
that...
highway goes over, going into Port Townsend goes over over the tracks.
Goes over the tracks,
So we're
right?
coming down the hill.
Yeah,
They're coming into Port Townsend, so this train is going eastbound.
yeah.
Okay.
There's
Two
two keys.
Yeah, two keys with this, now this is two keys heading towards Port Townsend, right?
Yes.
Okay. And here's two keys again, yeah, look at that TP burger, isn't that cute? And they're actually, they got a car on the siding, maybe they're gonna load something out here. And another picture of two keys, I believe, isn't this?
Yeah,
Double check it. Now, I believe this is two keys as well, I've been looking at the map, now where is it then?
Is it, Dana,
Huh?
tell me if I'm wrong, west side of Lynn, just past where the.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
old
that's,
hardwood-
that's the log yard, the log dump.
The old hardwood dump.
Yep.
Okay, so this is Blinn Log Dump then?
Yep.
This is not two keys?
Yep.
Okay, so this is why we have to go through this stuff. Because when you have people from Seattle do it, then they end up in the wrong locations. And then, so this is that same log dump at Blinn. Okay, got it. And you can see, this is the trip where they're bringing the SD9 back. So that was kind of a unique experience. Is this two keys?
I think so.
You think this is more like Blinn,
No, not
No,
Glen.
it's not Glen.
Gardner?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I can't figure it out where it is, I'm not gonna use it. And it's kind of important that we know where this is. Now, we know where this is. I believe that's Discovery Bay, isn't it? And that's the junction with the highway. And so we would be, you know, the tracks would kind of be in here, and we're looking at the sign for this intersection. That's the way I'm reading it. Okay.
Discovery Bay.
That's cities in the background.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Discovery
still
Bay.
there.
That's Discovery Bay.
Yeah, okay. And this is Discovery Bay going the other direction. And is this
Yeah, well,
Discovery
that's
Bay?
where we're-
here?
Back down one.
That's where the deal fell through on the buying
I
and the
don't know why it
buying.
does this on me. Okay,
One
so,
more. See the, oh, you know, you can't quite see it. There was a Y in there for many years.
oh, because this is Discovery Junction.
No,
Oh,
this is Discovery Bay.
okay.
Duncan is farther east at this point.
Oh, okay.
There was a Y there that was built, apparently with the anticipation that Milwaukee was only going to come this far, turn the trains over to Fort Townsend Southern,
Oh,
and
Okay.
it was never used, to the best of our knowledge.
okay.
See, way I understand it, and I heard it from Jay Linsner,
Yeah,
before the Milwaukee bought Port Townsend, they were getting 30% tariff out of what they hauled, which was a pretty good cut out of Milwaukee's.
Yeah.
And so that's what prompted them to buy out the Port Townsend.
oh, and Alan Miller goes into a long description of what everything that went wrong when they bought out the Port Townsend. Wasn't it the Fox family that owned them?
A lot of what?
Fox family? that owned-
Yeah, the Fox family,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, there had even been a rumor even before that, that they had thought about putting the Milwaukee slip in Discovery Bay.
Oh,
But, you know, there's been so many, you know.
different rumors over the years.
Hey Frank, what are we doing with the SD there in the consist? I thought, the Milwaukee unit there, because,
It's going back to Seattle.
but I thought I was on the train when we took that down to the barge and picked up the F units.
Yeah, but she
No,
was out.
we took the F units up there first.
I know, but I thought we took the 504 or the 509 and they swapped it for the F units.
Dana, the
That's
SD
what we did,
was
that's
here
what we
for-
did.
Huh?
The SD was here for a couple of weeks at least,
Was
after
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got quite a few pictures of her in use with the F units.
I have to tell you, when we put the F units on the barges, we left the amber lights going up on the top of the locomotives. The Coast Guard went ballistic because that's a submarine signal.
Oh. This is, I believe this is Maynard, isn't it?
Yeah, Maynard, yeah. Yeah, they used to fish for perch off that little trestle.
Yeah. Was that Chuck?
Yeah, it's really kind of reconfigured.
Those rail cars are pretty impressive, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of damn money there, I wonder what they'll.
And Maynard again. And Maynard again. Frank and I looked at this hack sitting in the gravel yard just outside the swim earlier today. And another shot of Maynard. Just such good shots, I could not have them. So was this the lumber mill on one
Yeah.
side?
Yeah, Brown.
Okay.
But it's a peeler.
It's a what?
It was only a peeler mill, as I recall.
Huh?
There was only a peeler mill.
Yeah, in later years, it was a peel, it made,
Holes.
filler for plywood.
For plywood.
Oh, I
Was that one of our propane cars, or? It looked like a
Probably.
propane car.
Is that a pretty good guess? Is this Gardner? What do you think, Chuck? Hard to tell.
I'd say somewhere.
I think that's when you did the logging along the railroad.
Yeah,
Well, I got a picture of the logging. I need to know where that is.
Well, that's Diamond Point out there, so you're out around the Gardner area.
Yeah.
So this is, okay, so this would be east of Glen, heading towards Gardner.
Yeah, heading for Port
Yeah,
Townsend.
that's pretty happy with that. When I found that picture, I was pretty happy with that.
Lynn.
They're blended with the station sign. Now, I'm gonna come back and talk about these station signs here in a second. Is this Glen?
No, that's Morse Creek.
That's Morse Creek. That far west?
That
Yep.
far east. Oh, well,
West,
east of Port Angeles. And
Okay, that's Morse Creek. Now, I just want everybody to notice that we've got a very nice post here, and a very nice sign, and very nice, all of this is very nice. NHTSA would be very happy with that. Signals, that's Morse Creek.
Well, that goes into a big housing development called Four Seasons Ranch.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. Turned right off the highway there, right at the bottom of the hill. There's a whole bunch of houses down there, so. That's why it looks so nice.
Okay, if you guys say so. I mean, I know the photographer that took this picture. And in its sequence, it comes right after that shot that I thought was Gardner. So I'm surprised that I got this far west on the railroad. This is my only visit to the Seattle North Coast. Because this shot comes after that. So that's why I kept thinking it was Glen, but this is Glen, isn't it? Okay, so I've got those pictures out of order. I'll fix that. So I'll go through this stuff. I like this picture a
Oh,
lot.
look at the tractor.
Look at that track. Isn't that just like, it's like.
That's a photo distortion. It wasn't that bad.
No, I know. Tim Redmond.
Heat wave, huh?
Yeah,
No.
Sun King.
So this is described as being blend. Does that look right?
Okay, looks like over there by Michigan School.
That must have been,
Okay.
that looks like a high cube car right behind that.
Yeah, it is.
Engine.
All right. Johnson
Oh,
Creek,
that
right?
was another trestle.
No,
Boy, climbing
Seaver's.
that trestle was always.
Where's this?
Johnson Creek.
Seaver's.
That's Seabird's Creek.
Huh?
That's Seabird's Creek, because
Yeah.
this is old
Yeah.
Ole going under it.
Yeah,
Over the
yeah,
highway.
Okay,
where
well,
you're,
that's-
the road,
So this is why I got to
Yeah.
practice this stuff in front of a live studio audience, make sure I get my facts straight. This is all in your thumb drive, which you can then,
Well,
send me
he's
some
pouring the
reviews
coals
on.
through. He's got a pretty good
I
taste.
corrected most of these already. You don't read my emails.
I try to do the best I can, and I just get, sometimes I get confused, so I'm trying.
yeah, you gotta change.
I will. Got a couple of blanks in here. Now, the reason I like this picture is it says that this is a project of the Boy Scout Troop 400 in Squim. What was the deal on this Boy Scout troop, Frank? What did you guys do?
Well, we did a couple things with Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the blend sounded
Well, this kid was
awesome.
working on his eagle, and, remember,
Right.
what was his name? Anyhow, they had the little mobile home park, and that was his son, and he liked railroads because his uncle owned the Squim Mill in
Oh.
Squim,
Okay.
and they used to ship boxcars of lumber.
Is that the old Squim Tavern?
Yeah, no, the Squim Depot,
Yeah, the Swim Depot restaurant.
About 4 tons.
and his, you know, you got him to make the signs, Blinn, and
Right.
Yeah, the blend had the Boy Scout logo on there too, and so I thought that this must be part of a project. And one of the fewer pictures that we could reflect the presentation, and none of them I used through it.
Dana, the siding.
Yeah.
Did that go clear down to Butcher's?
pardon?
The siding went clear down to Butcher's, didn't it?
This
Yeah,
siding?
oh yeah, it was a
That-
runaround siding,
That siding, that's where it used to go to the propane,
right?
distributor, and then we had like a, kind of a half-assed freight house track there where the furniture outfit used to get,
Yeah,
furniture.
yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah, the restaurant's going strong, I like that picture, because it just shows the restaurant and people kind of doing stuff, and, so this is another one of my favorite.
Well, there's one of our
There's the
passenger,
coaches.
Yeah, it's one of your passenger trains, and that's right there on the main drag and swing. You know, the mall's right here, the Mexican restaurant that Steve and I ate at the last time I was up here is right there. Is it still the La Hacienda, or is
Closed
it?
down,
That closed down?
yeah, they moved down the street.
Okay. And I liked it because it had all of these nice flowers that kind of matched the trip color of the locomotive. Another picture right here at the mill.
hey, can you go back
There you go,
one?
right here.
Go back one,
This one.
there, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you had two diverging, sidings, the feed mill there.
There's this one, and then there's,
The one on the left went to Western Farmers,
okay,
and the other one went to the Clown Co-op elevator.
yeah, that was I just got this picture in the last few days.
When you look at that train like that, the financial involvement there is horrendous. It's just a crying shame that couldn't keep going. I mean, compared to a lot of the railroad stuff that I've been around, that's really first cabin stuff.
It's all loads, it's all heading, yeah, those are all loads. Yeah, it's nice looking train. This is the Tim Rep picture, which is the.
There's what it used to look like.
That's what it used to look like, that's the bridge right there. So, this is the cover picture that they used for the promotional advertising they did for this program.
Canoe?
Yeah, not named for a local landowner, not the governor of Maryland, so I've been corrected. And we think this is Agnew as well? Agnewish area?
Isn't this close to the Carlsborg crossing?
Yeah, it is, that barn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
So this is closer to Carlsbad.
You know, I don't remember that center passenger car. Every one that we did, we only used the two cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a 3-car train. I was saying it's might have been the NRHS.
Can't remember all that shit either.
Do we think this is the Agnew area, Carlsbad Agnew area as well?
Take a look at the snow up there on that, compared to what we saw today.
Well, I know, and this is May, and there's all that snow up there.
Yeah.
And we were seeing the same amount of snow, this is February.
I think that's west of Carlsberg, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, just west of Carlsborg.
It's kind of like more like ag, you see bald street.
Well, but if it was Agnew, the road would be, Old Oldie would be on this side.
That was our Al Swift run.
Well, that was the Al Swift train, okay. The Congress.
sure what that says, I guess it would be.
So now this is Morris Creek, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
when I
Morris
look at
Creek.
Morris
Yeah.
Creek,
Yeah.
I'm looking at this bridge structure right here, and that's different than that little trestle. Is this just further west?
This is over the river. That trestle at Morris Creek is just to the east end of this.
Okay.
This is a two-span bridge.
Okay.
And then there's trestle approach from the east and trestle approach from the west.
Okay, all right, okay, I'm old brain, but it does wear occasionally.
Well, that fields look pretty good, eh?
Couple of Port Angeles pictures. I can't quite tell who this fella is right here. But it was a little far away for us to be able to see.
That could have been Dale Stanley.
So who are these guys?
Well, Ray Barbary in the bib overalls.
This is Ray?
That's Ray. George Porter in the center. Chuck Bible.
Chuck Bible,
Chuck Bible.
Like
Isn't
B-I-B-L-E?
that right, Chuck?
Chuck Bible.
Chuck Bible used to run the borough.
Yeah.
Oh, did he? Okay. Now, I gotta write, I don't have a way to write it down right now, but I gotta get this because the guy that took this picture, he said, I really appreciate it if you could tell me the names of these fellas. And so you guys identified them, so I need to.
So those, the hoghead and the Cremmy operator, they weren't too happy with me when I told them, I said, you know, if you're not running the trains, you're gonna be out there working on the track.
Right,
You get 40 hours a week, you get the ass out of the train.
right.
And Ray always used to sign up for terminal delay.
Yeah.
Terminal delay. And John said, hey, you don't have terminal delay here.
I think George was the conductor.
Oh, that is just
Yeah.
a real top-notch photo there.
It is.
Right downtown and then PA. I gotta find a few more of these PA pictures yet.
Gosh.
This is the one of the ones I really like. Look at this sign.
No animals allowed on float.
Owners shall be responsible for the actions of their animals. I've always got a kick out of that. And here we are at the epilogue, where everything came to a screeching halt. This stuff is sadly parked in the snow in downtown Seattle again. Blair Koistra, one of the guys that took the pictures, so we do credits, and we put the photographers in there. Ken Meeker, Dale Sanders, a couple of guys that we used their pictures on this. Credits, and the closing shot. And that's our presentation. That's what it looks like.
Clear back almost to the Priest Road. That you go, oh, what are you doing? That'll be enough of that.
The history is starting right now,
Oh,
right?
no. And then they gradually filled it in, and then they built a, you'll see it here, this is a dike to keep the river more or less in the riverbed. There's also a long trestle on the far end of the bridge. This bridge is 150 feet in span, but the longest piece of wood in it, as I recall, is around 82 feet. And that's one of the marvels of the Howe design, in that it's all modular. You have to build them with a false work because none of the pieces can span the river, and then you put it all together and then tension it up with the tension rods and then take the false work out from under it.
guys that, yeah,
put it all together in the first place. So
the guys that did it all.
In case you hadn't noticed, this is the bridge.
this is the bridge.
This is the bridge. Thought I'd pass that on
or
to
as
you.
Brigham Young once said, this is the bridge. So Frank, now, when was the last time you were on this bridge?
I don't know. I can't tell you what year I climbed up there. We used to have a stairway here,
Yeah.
and you'd go up there, and we had a drill, a hollow core drill, and you drill into the timber.
Into these.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you take the drill out, and you take a little screwdriver or something, and you push the wood out of the inside of the drill, and
Okay.
you test it. You look at it, see if it was really rotten. And then we sprayed some kind of a, probably creosote in the hole and put a plug in it. I was looking to see if I could find any plugs.
Oh, see if you could see any plugs you guys have done core sampling in the past. Back.
Well, I'll never forget the one time I was out there. I was about in here. I was looking down, and the salmon were going. The river was running to beat hell, and I couldn't stand up. I crawled over and went down, sat down here for a while, went back up again.
That's right, because you don't like heights much either, do you? I know I'm not much for heights, and I know you don't like confined spaces, so yeah.
Yeah.
And so
But no, it's nice to see. I don't like it. You know, it's so messy here right now.
messy in what way?
And timber, all the shit laying around here.
Oh, okay. Oh, you mean like down here in the
The
stream?
debris
Yeah.
from flooding or whatever.
Let's walk out more and let's look at the river and catch up with Dana and Chuck.
So another thing,
Yeah, go ahead.
you could look up this way and see wood ducks.
Yeah.
Wood ducks would be up in here.
Aw.
Yeah, I always thought that was pretty neat. Yeah. You know, these are probably quarter round timbers. Yeah. Pretty interesting. Yeah. So the flood was in 1914. I remember reading something about it, hearing something. River's running pretty good over there. Oh, I see. There's a joint here. I couldn't figure out why there's a double or it's a double. There's a joint here. I bet you these are quarter cut timbers. I bet there's not one single center timber in here.
What's that?
In other words, the tree,
Uh-huh.
there's no core timber in here.
Oh, no.
These are all maybe quarter cut.
Uh-huh.
Because that's what we use in the snow sheds too. No full timber, no half timber, quarter cut. No heartwood.
No hardwood, no.
Still got all my date nails.
I'm sorry?
I still have all my date nails.
Date nails, oh yeah.
It's full out of the ties there. I got a big bag full of them, so.
You get
So I
copper
got-
ones?
Yep, copper ones.
Oh, yeah?
I've got a few of those steel ones too, but they've got some copper ones. So.
They quit doing the copper ones.
Well, yeah.
My son had a 5-gallon pail of them, but I don't know what ever happened to them.
Bill said he used to collect them and sell them for the copper. He used to get so many of them. He said he'd go through all the ties and just came in and pull all the date nails and sell them all for copper.
Oh, now you can see it. Well, she put it moving pretty straight. Life goes on, that's for sure, I think. Well, she's got a straight cut now, doesn't she?
Huh?
The river's got a really straight cut now,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Huh. I can't get over all these people. I think it's pretty neat, but I can't get over it. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Dad.
Bob Shanklin did it.
Bob Shanklin did it, and didn't Bob put the berm in here that moved the river over?
No, they used to do maintenance. See, after the flood of '60, when it took out the approach,
Yeah.
they double shifted rebuilding the approach. And before that approach was just on mud sills.
Okay.
And so they drove it, and then they always did maintenance on the dike. That was an ongoing thing.
Now, you've been on camera here for a minute, but you've not introduced yourself yet.
I'm Dana Davis. I was just an interloper with the Milwaukee and Seattle North Coast guys.
And Chuck?
My name is Chuck Light. I worked on the track crew in Port Angeles in 1982 and 1983.
Keep going.
Oh, just the usual track work, pounding spikes and shoveling gravel under ties, and that was pretty much it. That's all we did. So, and I laid some rail out. In the track car there, we'd go along with the crane, and we put rail out, and anyway, so that was about it. Just,
But you've got a number of memories of the people that you worked with
Yeah,
and
all
some of
the-
the different things that
yeah.
happened over the years?
no, not a lot happened. We had a big derailment one time.
Okay.
It took 3 or 4 days to straighten out, but
Now, where was that at?
that was out east of Squim here,
Like Blinn or something? Or
past Blinn.
Past Blinn.
Yeah,
Okay.
up by the
Okay.
Michigan School Road there. It
Oh.
was really rainy and cars went off the track, and it took us a while to get that straightened up. Everything was really muddy, and
Yeah. So did you get Frank and Dana to help you, or how'd you guys fix it?
they had to get some they'd build roads right alongside the track and get some heavy equipment in there that could lift the train cars up. And they got them back on the track, and then we'd have to build a section of rail at a time. We'd get some gravel down and then get it firmed up again, and we would put another set of rails down. That way they could get the hopper car out there a little further again, and then we would
ballast.
Yeah, and then do another section of rail, and finally we got a bridge there. So
I'm in the sand and gravel business, so I brought the crushed rock out, but you couldn't back out with a truck, so we dumped it.
Yeah.
And then Falsina, he ran the locomotive crane, the clamshell bucket, and you get a clamshell bucket to take it out, and just kind of build it through that swamp.
Just one bucket load at a time.
Right.
Right. So one of the things I want you guys to do, the reason I was pulling on you is I wanted you to get into the sun, but Dana, then you came a little too far, and now you're back in the shadows again. So I'm trying to center you, so I got sun on the nose, as they say.
There, how about that?
There, now we got some sun on the nose. I like that better. So then, the river used to be here, now the river's over there. What happened?
The Dungeness goes where it wants to.
Even no matter what Steve Hoff says. Yeah.
yeah,
See, there's the old road. You could drive underneath the approach trestle, and right out over there was the dike, wasn't it, Chuck?
yeah. Well, you could actually drive up behind it a little ways there.
Oh, you
To the
could?
road, yeah. You could kind of drive out here, and the dike was more, but the river was right alongside the road. You could drive right up and look right into the river. So the river was probably right about here at one time. It's moved over quite a bit. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They don't let them dike rivers anymore to change the flow of the river. They have to let them flow naturally.
Let it flow naturally, so now it's flowing underneath
It's
that
gone to the
western
west. It's gone to the
stand.
west, yeah.
Yeah, it's moved west.
And see, the other approach was wood too, you know,
Yeah.
and so you basically had two long approaches to get to the bridge to cross the river.
So then, after the railroad left, did you guys get involved in like tearing out the old trestles, or how did all that stuff go away?
Well,
The
they
state did it?
sold it out to different entities or
Yeah.
scrappers. I mean,
Yeah.
We all got laid off, so they had a few guys that were still working. Just Bill, some of the management guys were still working, but they didn't really. They just kind of kept the maintenance stuff.
we
That was
weren't
about it.
supposed to do it, but me and a buddy had put together a motor car. So after work, we would go from Squim to Port Angeles and back. One day the sheriff stopped me. The rail went up through kind of a shallow cut there, and he said, "What are you guys doing?" Well, I says, "We're patrolling the track for the receiver." Oh, he said, "Okay." So Bob Shanklin, he said, "God," he says, don't get hurt, but he says, "I don't mind you doing that because at least they know somebody's," he told them you were patrolling the track to keep people from putting fences across and stuff.
Yeah.
Or, you know, people stealing stuff.
People
Yeah.
stealing stuff, yeah.
Stealing rails or something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, stealing rail.
So-
this and that.
Anyhow, that was a little, it wasn't really excitement. I mean, enough people knew who I was and being hanging around with Bob and Frank and Bill Blank and all those, you know, they didn't think nothing of it. Oh, okay.
So when you say you're an interloper for the Milwaukee and the Seattle and North Coast, what does that mean in
I
your
just
mind?
hanging around.
Okay, so you never were an employee of theirs, or were you?
No, I never was.
Okay, so it was always been Davis Sand and Gravel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought, well, you know, gee, if somebody's going to start a railroad, I could sell them rock. And I work with Frank. I give him insights of some people and different stuff.
So how long have you guys been in the area here? How long have you been here, Chuck?
Since 1961, we moved out here when I was 5 years old.
Oh,
So.
we're the same age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much almost my whole life. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go to Port Angeles High School or Squim
I
High
went
School?
to Port Angeles High School,
Okay.
graduated in 1973.
Okay, I graduated in
Yeah.
1974. Yeah. and then started working for the railroad later after. a few
Yeah,
years.
they I'm not sure exactly what the deal was there. They was laid off or something, and they had something going where if they hired some workers there, they would get some kind of a break on the taxes or state industrial or something, or on the wages there. So they hired some workers there because they were kind of just a startup railroad, and they got some kind of help from the state somehow there. I think they might have paid some of our wages or something, but anyway, so that's how I got hired. I was laid off logger when I got hired for the railroad. So.
Okay. And you liked it.
Yeah, it was a good job. It was fun. So
You liked the people.
yeah, I liked the people, liked everybody I worked with. They were working guys, so I got along good with everybody. And
Working folks.
back when I was young, I could still do the work, you know. So it was hard.
So then, did you ever bump into Dana then, and Dana was bringing you gravel, or did you guys bump into each other when you were working together on the railroad, or how'd that go?
I used to ride around with his friend Bill sometimes, and Bill and I would stop into Davis sanding gravel a couple times. Bill was a roadmaster, and then I just met Dave a couple times there. I don't think he really remembered me. I came up and said hi to him one time downtown at a restaurant, and I told him where I'd seen him, met him, you know, and he kind of remembered me.
Ooh, okay.
I showed him my railroad patch, and we kind of started talking about it.
Excellent.
Yeah, that was it. Never did really talk to him for a long time after I quit working at the railroad, but still remembered him.
Has anybody ever talked to you about your time on the railroad?
No, not anymore.
Yeah.
I saw Dale Stanley a few years ago, but that's it. I don't
Okay.
really see anybody. I don't know if any people in Port Angeles even remember the railroad anymore. It's been like 40 years since they took it out. They took it out in '83 or whatever. So
Yeah, that's right. Goes
you just
right
run
by-
along the waterfront there, right next to the boat haven, and
Right by the Red Lion.
yeah, Red Lion, and right by the boat haven, and right through downtown, in the middle of downtown there, in front of all the
Railroad Avenue.
ferry dock, and I'll clear out to used to be Crown's email back then.
Hmm.
They used to actually ship rolls of paper over the railroad. They kind of like slowed down. That was a lot of business for them. They
Right.
started shipping it by truck. So,
Those bloody trucks always
Yeah.
get in the way, don't they?
yeah.
Yeah. So, now Dana, did you ever work on those passenger trains? that
Yeah,
they
I
ran?
started I did the first one and the last one.
Okay, wait a minute. So tell me more now. How did those trains get started, and what did you guys do?
Well, they brought over a couple of passenger coaches
Right,
and
yeah.
had them painted here in Squim.
And then in that green paint scheme.
Yeah, right.
Look,
And-
did you get involved in painting those?
No, but
They look nice.
because of Frank and I knew Larry and Art, and I said, hey, what would it cost to charter while you got these coaches here, to charter a trip, employee special from Port Angeles to Squim, and the depot was a restaurant then.
Right, it was.
So they come up with a price. Well, I had my CPA, he was in on it, and a guy that ran the concrete, so we call it an employee appreciation special.
Okay.
So we did that one. And the next one, I wasn't involved in that, but then the next one we had an Al Swift special trying to get money
The
to,
congressman, right?
yeah.
From Bellingham.
And we did several, well, we did one for the retirements, one of the retirement home, and we did several of them. And
Maybe a half a dozen total or so? Or?
yeah, we did one during the irrigation festival. I got a picture of that crossing the Johnson Creek Bridge.
Oh, the big high trestle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did the last one. There was a group chartered it from California,
National Railway Historical Society.
and we went from Port Townsend to Port Angeles, and so Art got a hold of me and he said, can you put together a couple of people for hostesses?
Right.
So I got my buddy, he had his girlfriend and she had her friend,
Okay.
and so we took the bus down to Port Townsend, and I had a conductor's thing, and loaded, and Art handed me the conductor's hat and the radio. He says, "You're in charge. You know what to do."
Did you ever been trained as a railroad conductor?
No, but I'd been enough to know, these are pretty, pretty loose. But anyhow, the thing is,
Yeah.
that day they had to run up to the pulp mill and get a carload of craft paper, wrapping paper for ITT Rainier. So it was probably that day the only mixed train in the United States.
I believe I've seen pictures of that train with that one boxcar and a couple of passenger cars.
Yep, and that's
Yeah.
it. And
Wow.
so somewhere I got a picture of me. We stopped and swimmed to honor Matt Drake. He was Olympic skeet shooter
Oh, really?
there. And so that was it. That was the end of it.
Wow. And that would have been like, what, 84 or something?
Something like that.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, basically it was more or less embargoed, but they could still they still ran that one. And then after that, it was a cleanup operation. I wasn't, Bob
Yeah.
was up here. And so,
Yeah,
But
I was up here in 1984 and got actually pictures of the train running. So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
freight train running. So
Yeah.
I was, pretty excited about that.
talking about derailments, that one down in Jefferson County where the big cars went over the bank.
I heard about it, but I wasn't there for it. so-
Dale Stanley was riding in the second unit, and he thought the locomotives were going to go over. He said, just luckily a coupling broke behind the second unit there.
Mm.
And so Frank was down there, and they had Holshers down picking it up, and they get some cars up. And Dale and I, underneath there was the center pin, put them under the bolster. But a lot of times Dale would have something to do, and he'd say, "Hey, I'm going down to do something. You want to go along?" So
And you go along.
I'd go along.
Yeah.
I was interloping.
Yeah, you're an interloper.
Yeah.
That's great.
The railroads are fun. A lot of guys like to be around railroads, so.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to work for the railroad when I got out of school.
And
so
how long have you been in this area now, Dana?
Too long.
Well, I didn't ask you that. How long you been in this area?
1945, the folks came here.
1945. Oh my gosh. And you existed at that point in time?
Pardon?
What year were you born?
43.
Oh, okay. So you've been here for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Obviously like it.
well,
home.
what the hell? We were dairy farmers for years,
Were you?
but luckily Dad bought a 90-acre stump ranch that had gravel on it. So, but anyhow, so I'd go up to the depot and say in Port Angeles, and well, they had Eddie Emanuel was an agent here in Squim when they had the agent there, and I'd say, well, how do you get her on, so I don't know, I keep going back and forth,
Yeah.
because I was friend of Bill Blank's brother, and I remember Bill walking across the road down in Blen because they had the section foreman there to go to work. And they went from Carlsberg down the other way to Discovery Bay but anyhow. And so finally, after making a nuisance out of myself, and the agent said, kid.
This is Ed Emanuel now.
Well, this was, yeah, it was Ed. He went up to Port Angeles.
Yeah, it was a PA, yeah.
He says, I tell you what, he says, did your grandfather work for the Milwaukee? No. Did your uncle? Did your dad? No. He says, you don't have a chance.
Really?
He says, unless you got a relative, it's more or less somebody that works for the railroad and part of their family wants to work, well, you got a job. Yeah. But now you take Dale Stanley, got out of the Navy, and he had electrical experience, and he got right on. So,
and he maintained the locomotives, didn't
yeah.
Well, that needed to get done too.
Yeah.
So
But anyhow, it was all right. But you know, I didn't care. I just wanted to work the railroad. It didn't matter if it was a section gang or work on the train. I didn't care, but it worked out.
So then you met Frank after the Seattle and North Coast got started.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, because Frank came up here then as, what was his job?
Well, he was kind of the superintendent, you know, Pier 27 and dispatching and, you know, making all
I
the...
thought he was the president.
Huh?
I thought he was the president of the company.
Well,
And those other guys were the owners or whatever. But I thought he was kind of the
I don't
president, something like that. You know, the
I think
guy in charge every
yeah,
day. Or something.
Frank was the guy that was in charge of people actually doing stuff,
every
not
day,
being in the office yelling at people that are supposed to be doing stuff.
Those other two guys were the owners.
Those two guys were the owners,
Yeah.
Allen and Bunting.
Yeah.
Well,
But, of course, when they took over, you know, I wanted to keep my hat in the ring, you know, in case they needed gravel. And,
right.
And so one day they brought Frank along and we went to lunch.
Oh.
And that's kind of how I met Frank.
Okay.
And then the next time they relayed the rail across Morse Creek.
Right. Morse Creek Bridge.
And he brought his crew from Pier 27.
Oh.
Yeah, he had a black Chevy van. Outpiled about 5 guys from Seattle with tools, and Bill Blank was kind of taken back that he'd bring that many people, but they got it done in a day.
Wow. And that was relaying the rail on the bridge.
Yeah, I mean that rail is so worn. That 65-pound rail was about that wide, wasn't it, Chuck?
Yeah, it wasn't very big. It's something from the old days.
Yeah, we've got a few pictures of it, and it looks like kind of like spaghetti noodles, you know, with the train going over it.
Yeah, they were trying to replace it with 90-pound rail. You know, put different rails in there. They bought a bunch of rail from other places. And
yeah, Frank was talking about how they got some rail from the Union Pacific.
Yeah,
they were coming out here and doing some rail
trying to put some
relaying.
90-pound rail
You know,
in.
even after Frank left, Bob had it pretty much retied, ready for, and they had the rail pedaled out down to Port Townsend
Yeah,
from
we had
Discovery Bay.
Greg and I did that.
Yeah. So,
If we'd have hung on a little longer, could have made it. You know.
well, they got into it at the wrong economic time.
Yeah, that's part of it for sure. And I don't know, you know, the different people have different opinions of the management's ability to manage a business.
Well,
Just leave it at
and
that.
then they paid too much
We paid too much for this, that, and the other thing.
for it. Yeah.
And the next thing you know,
Yeah.
they don't have enough money for, like, paying you guys.
Yeah, well, the business went downhill. I mean, you know, the mills, they quit shipping paper. Right on the rail track there was all kinds of like sawmills and shake mills you used to drive through. And Bill said they used to like get cars full of shakes and lumber and stuff. There was a great big mill in Carlsberg they used to drive through. You drive through these places, you don't even know they're there, and you end up driving to these big abandoned like sawmills. And there was one down the by Port Townsend somewhere. It was a shake mill or something. We used to drive through that, but it was closed up. But he said there used to be all kinds of shake mills, and lumber mills, and you know the big mills got stuff. And they used to bring cars full of chemicals up to the Rainier Mill, and the business just went all the heck. There were shake mills on the Port Angeles waterfront there that had loading slips built right up to the train tracks. They would just load train cars full of shakes and take them down to California. You know, there's hardly any business at all. It got down to where they're only shipping like 1 or 2 cars a week, and
Just not enough.
yeah, they couldn't.
You just
Day,
gotta have
day,
more.
day of the railroad was over up here, so
Yeah.
there's too much cost involved, and they had to get down there and barge everything over to the other side, which was more cost.
And those barges are tricky, as we'll talk to Frank about, and trying to load and unload barges, and then you've got the currents
And the tide, they had to wait. Sometimes they couldn't do it because of the tide.
Yeah.
You know, the tide was too low, and they couldn't load or unload, or
Or the wind would be
the
too
wind
much.
would be blowing or something. Or
I know, I rode the local down there a lot of times when we had to wait, and then when they'd shift the barge from one to the other, we get on the tug and go down the galley, and there was always, cook had dessert, pie and ice cream, while they shifted the the car.
So at least you could get a bite to eat while you were
yeah.
out there moving stuff around.
But it could be a miserable down there in the wind and rain, you know.
Cold, really cold in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Well, right on the water.
Right on the water. The wind really blows down to Port Townsend, comes up from the south up there,
Just blasts at you.
blast, yeah.
And then you're out there bobbing like a cork trying to get these rail cars off of there, and they got sulfur or ammonia or chlorine or who knows what.
Yeah.
So,
But, you know, if you'd have had a good managed railroad, we might have a couple more mills still here,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, you know, if you got a railroad, you can ship anywhere in the country.
I know.
yeah, absolutely. And had that railroad succeeded, it would have supported the industries of this community, and it would have made them more successful.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Because the railroads and the industries need to work together, and then they both come out winners.
Well, you know, at the time, we were using a lot of LP gas. So I went to the manager of the Doxel here, and I said, hey, how come you're not getting rail cars full of LP gas? Well, he said, I can. I said, well, then order some. And he did.
Yeah. Oh, and the LP guy, he was right down by where the feed mill is in downtown Squim, right? He was just a little further
Yeah, down
east.
at Butcher's Pull Yard.
Okay.
They send a lot of poles and stuff out.
'Cause I've seen trains that had poles on them. And of course, this would be a good place to come up with poles.
Yeah, it was one of the places they used to load, was
Yeah,
Butcher's Pull
places-
Yard, yeah.
pull yards,
Cedar
yeah.
poles.
Cedar poles.
Cedar
Yeah.
poles. You need them everywhere.
And then the butt cuts they would cut into fencing material. And you better nail it up quick because it tried out of a twist, wouldn't it, Chuck?
Yeah.
I mean, they'd stack it up and band it tight. Fill them
Otherwise,
box
it would
cars.
take a life of its own and do its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the same little mill down there at Tukey's, he made.
Oh, Tukey's, yeah, there's a mill there.
Yeah.
And I've seen the pictures of Tukey's where they've got, they're still burning sawdust, and they got like a little, what do they call those things? A teepee burner?
Yeah.
These is a burner.
Yeah,
all the shake mills had those. They had to burn their refuse. So
Oh, okay.
they had like little conveyor belts that ran up into them, and then they just continually burning all the.
Yeah, because you'd see
Cedar
these little
sawdust,
clouds
yeah.
of smoke coming off of these things, and
Yeah.
you think now it's like nobody lets any of that go to waste. Now they
No,
would make something else out of
They
it.
would be taking it down to the Port Townsend mill and using it for the boilers. So
Or
that's called hog fuel.
or hog fuel.
Yeah, that's
There
what
you
they turn it
go.
into.
Yeah,
Hog fuel.
instead of just burning it.
Yeah.
So there-
Biofuel. So.
biofuels. So there's a little mill at Tukey's, and then there was one at Carlsberg.
That was a big mill at Carlsberg.
Great big mill at Carlsberg, yeah. And there was one there. It's kind of when you get by closer to Cat Lake or something, or by Port Townsend. There was a mill we drove through there.
Yeah,
I'm not
but
sure-
they never mounted to much.
No, I didn't know that. It was just one
What,
that kind
what
Yeah.
about Maynard? Was there one there?
At one time.
Well, there was one there right alongside the bay there. You know, there
Oh,
was,
okay.
you know where that little pond is.
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
a trestle that went across the entrance to that little pond. They kind of reconfigured that. But
Used
it was
to-
just-
yeah, it used to
sawmill
be-
was right there, right
yeah.
alongside the highway.
And then later on, they made veneer, you know, just filler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And George Porter, he told me one time that they loaded a car with this veneer. It shipped to Seattle. He said a week later it came back to Peninsula plywood.
No.
And then they made plywood out of it.
Yeah,
because
it
it's
was the
veneer.
filler,
Yeah.
you know. But he said they could have taken it in one shot, you know. But somehow it got billed there, and it came back.
Survived a two-way trip on the barge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, there was a lot of, from what I understand, there was a lot of speculating on a carload of lumber. A broker would get it, and then he maybe brokered to somebody else, and this, you know.
So it would get from, if it was going from A to Z, it might go through B, D, L, and Y on its way there.
Right.
Because all the different hands that had it, passing it along the way, and they divert it here, divert it there.
Yeah,
You
well,
know?
and that I know Butcher said they liked, well, it was shipping to Milwaukee because they had a kind of a pole treating plant in Plummer where they could, utility poles where they could dip the butt. But he says, yeah, a lot of mills like the Milwaukee because it took so long that that load of lumber might get sold 3 times.
There you go. That's interesting.
But you know, there's. But see, the Carlsberg mill, it was an old mill to cut big timber. You know,
Cutting firs or cedars or both?
they cut anything.
Well, cut anything, no? Okay.
And see, it shut down, and then it got revamped, rehabilitated in 1962, and ran for a few years because they had a lot of timber out west.
Right.
And the Orban Lumber Company out of California bought them and got the mill running again. And but you know, in those days they were loading lumber in boxcars.
Right.
You know, nowadays it's A-frames or bulkheads, and
Exactly. Yeah, they kind of changed how they do that.
you know, I mean,
They actually found on December 31st, 1949. There was a freighter pulling into Elliott Bay. Did you guys hear about this one already? There's a freighter pulling into Elliott Bay, and it hit the barge and sank it. And it had 4 people on, and they had to rescue the 4 crew people that were on there. And I got a picture. We'll look in a minute here. I got a picture of these boxcars floating in Elliott Bay the next day because they were full of lumber, and so then they would be
Holding
buoyant.
them up.
You know, they would just, the little heads are sticking above water, and the title of the picture said, "Out of their element."
well, you know, that was another feather bedding deal. You know, two bargemen per barge.
Oh, you didn't think you needed that?
Well, I put together a guy that had tugboated and knew stuff, introduced him to Frank, and Frank was going on, you know, we have to have, Fawcett cut it down to 1 barge man per barge, and this guy says, Frank, you don't need that. He says, you're not, what's 1 or 2 guys going to do on a barge if you're getting rough water? You can't, you know, the cars are blocked. If they're going to tip over, they're going to tip over.
Well, you know, yeah.
Well, you know, and he said, well, you got to have them to tie up the barges. And so they come up with a guy that would know when the barges would go down there. He'd have his apron set and everything set up. Help block with the road crew, and it worked.
Great.
They saved a couple $100 a trip.
Well, any pennies that those guys could save, just got them to last a day longer.
Yeah. No, it was, no. But, you know, if he'd have had a single barge that would have held 21 cars, that would have made it a lot easier.
Well, it made it more economical, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, good, guys. Let's walk back inside for a few
All right.
minutes. I think this was good. I thought that was a...
Going zit, zit, zit. Oh, you got 4,400 going to ground. Yeah, I always thought that was pretty funny.
You can call me John. You can call me John. Any of that.
This is great.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna, when we get done here, we're gonna go have a bite
Remember
for
a long
lunch.
time.
Would you like to join us?
Yeah.
I'm
Good
buying
potato soup at the Mariners today.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm buying
Potato
lunch.
soup.
I'm buying
Potato
lunch,
soup.
So,
Nectar of the gods.
yeah, there you go. Nectar of the dogs, you said?
I thought he had a monkey in his lap. It's a microphone.
Huh?
Get the Mariner Cafe used to be.
Yeah.
Wendy's,
Hey, it's almost time.
It's almost lunchtime.
It's almost time for beans.
Yeah.
We work for the railroad.
Railroad moves on its stomach, guys. Yeah. So then Bob put these logs in out there to
Oh, no.
No, that was not Bob.
Bob built
The rock down here, didn't he?
Huh?
When they had the rock down here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
Bob, after the flood, Bob rebuilt the approach from here clear out that way.
All that way, and then built this sort of berm to push the river over that way.
Well, they were doing that before, but see, that flood had taken all that dike and stuff out.
Yeah, the Dungeness kind of goes where the Dungeness was, right?
No, not necessarily. I can show you a few
Yeah,
places where.
like I said, you can really see how straight the river is over here. Well, here you can see how it used to be. It curved around like that. You didn't have a big view of the river, and it went like at an angle like that. Because I remember being up there. I watched them salmon coming up along here, and being up on top of that bridge.
I think the tribe did all this down here, so.
The what?
The tribe did all this down here.
The tribe did.
Yeah, they do this. They do this river work anymore.
Because I know we had to really work. We had to really work on keeping the shore,
Yeah.
the footings here of this bridge.
Well, they do all this log stuff with the logs. They reestablish the natural river channel. So.
Oh.
This was almost all trestle,
Yeah,
clear to the police road.
just about. I don't remember. I can show you where the approach ended, but I don't remember doing that fill because see they moved the trail over.
Right.
They moved the trail over on the property line of Sanford's.
Right. Yeah, but there was a significant amount of trestle east
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I don't remember all of it, but I do remember that trestle went east quite a ways.
Quite a ways, yeah.
And then I think it was almost, if you look at the old drawings, it was almost all trestle just about to the Priest Road, and then they filled in part of it, and then they ultimately filled in most of it.
Priest Road went through the cut there.
Exactly.
Oh, Priest Road, yeah.
Yeah.
You have a picture of. No, Alan has a picture of the Priest Road.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's right. That's the road you came past Wally World.
Oh, okay.
That's the Priest Road.
That's Priest Road, okay. Yeah, because I'm trying to look at these pictures, trying to figure out where is this stuff today, because, you know, there's not a lot of traces in a lot of cases, right?
Well, you got to get a hold of old farts like him.
One or you.
Now that'll be enough. And like this one, who remembers this area before.
Back in the BC era versus the AD era, the common era period that we're in right now.
The B.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm not trying too hard, believe me.
Oh no, we can track you down. Don't worry.
I learned how to stay away from the press.
Yeah. Well, on this one you're going to meet the press. Hey, that'd be like for a TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. Here, let's go back inside for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, watch your step. Don't fall over backwards.